Gemma walked to her vehicle, which was parked on the street. Still dressed in scrubs, she was hoping to unwind from a long night at work. She climbed into her dark-colored SUV with her fresh gourmet coffee in hand, an indulgence she rarely obtained. She thought about the day ahead as she sipped her coffee. The kids were at summer camp for the next week and her shift was over for a few days. Her night shift at the hospital was busy but not a killer. After taking a sip of coffee, she placed the cup in the holder next to her. She put her keys in the ignition ready to head home for some rest. She was suddenly alarmed as a loud thud echoed from her rear passenger side fender. The back door of her SUV flew open. Two large men in suits shoved a third man in. A fourth man climbed in the front passenger seat. Guns in hand, the men stared at her, all of them seeming confused. One of the men in the back seat put his gun in her face. "Drive," he ordered her gruffly. "Who?" she attempted to question. He said drive. The man in the front seat yelled at her as he brought his gun to her head. She fired up the engine as shots rang out. Bullets hit the right front fender with a thunk. "Hold on." Yelling, she threw the vehicle in reverse. One of the men in the back seat threw himself over the man next to him. The third man in the back seat broke a side window and began shooting at the assailants. He hit two of them as they began to scatter for cover. Gemma sped down the street backwards, bumping a few cars. She knew she was coming to an open area and wanted to turn the vehicle around. "Hold on, I'm going to turn around," she screamed over the gunfire. They all grabbed onto something just as the vehicle began to spin. She slammed on the brakes and turned the steering wheel, putting the SUV into a spin. She very carefully and methodically shifted the car into drive as she released the brakes. She continued driving, now forward. She looked in her side mirror as a vehicle approached quickly. She glanced in the rearview mirror to see what the others were doing when she caught a glimpse of one of the men. She stared in the mirror, not believing who she was seeing. "That's right," the man in the front seat notified her as she continued to dodge cars on her mission to get to the interstate. "It's the vice president." She now knew the men who demanded she drive at gunpoint were Secret Service trying to protect the vice president.